ball knocked loose. White dive on it.
This is twice now the Celtics have been first to the floor.
They try to save with Horford. Unbelievable.
Boston first to the floor. So good.
Brown fakes, fires up the three. Bang! Tatum dives on the floor. Everybody dives. Jaylen Brown with the flush. Blocked by Porzingis. He's doing it all. Tatum spinning, driving, laying. Got it. Washington drives. Blocked by White. Oh, what a block from Derek White.
Welcome into another episode of First on the Floor. Ben Vallis here along with Jake Eisenberg. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. And Jake, the Celtics, 111, 101. The Lakers, Jayson Tatum, 40 points, 12 boards, 8 assists. A game oozing with talent and big names. And yet Jayson Tatum, easily the best player on the court by far. How you doing, Jake?
Oh, Ben. Ben. It is good to see you. It is a lovely night to be talking about the Boston Celtics. Fuck the Lakers. Fuck LeBron.
Yeah,
fuck Luka. Banner 19. Let's go. This was fun.
Dude, it was so good. We were just saying before we went live here that, we started the game taking notes and trying to arrange our thoughts for what would be a structured podcast. And the second half just became an out-of-body experience. So flying by the seat of our pants here, much like the Lakers offense throughout a large portion of this game. But I suppose we'll just run through sort of the core aspects of why this went the way it did. And we'll get into the individuals as well. And maybe starting with two individuals. It's a bad day. It was a bad day to be Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves. And this one, the Jays just love to attack, in particular, Luka Doncic in space one-on-one. It's a terrible thing if your best player is also the thing that your opposition loves the most, that appreciates them being out on the court the most, because it means it just gets their offense ticking and humming along. And in this case, our best players, the Jays, just feasting on a little bit of Austin Reeves, but in particular, Luka Doncic again, which is something we know well and truly from the NBA Finals last year.
No one does it quite like the Celtics. No one makes Luka Doncic look like that, like the Boston Celtics, like Jaylen Brown, like Jayson Tatum. It's personal. And I know on the Jeff Teague podcast, he's kind of joked about, even when Tatum went on there, that you want to get Tatum pissed off, mention Luka Doncic. And I think that both Jaylen and Jayson, they can obviously respect the offensive craft and the mastery, but they do not respect his disrespect of the game, the inability to get in shape, the inability to play defense, the unwillingness to play defense, the unwillingness to do the dirty work. There's something to that, I think, and that Luka Doncic gets all the glory despite the Jays doing what is essentially, the essence, the secret of basketball, going back to the Bill Simmons book. These guys are all about that, the Jays. And there's something about Luka Doncic, I think it's everything that I just said, that they don't respect, and they want to show everybody on the biggest stage why they are the guys, and Luka is not.
Is Nico Harrison back, Jake? Vindicated after this one?
I mean, there was some parallels to the finals and this game, which is interesting because it was Luka and the Lakers, but he comes into the game, and as soon as the Lakers go down 17, 19, 20, we start getting the pre-game. Yeah. Where was that information when the game started? Where were those shots when the Lakers were up for? I didn't see anything of that. As soon as things start to go badly again for Luka Doncic, that's when we start to get the theatrics. LeBron and Luka are, similar in that way. When things don't go their way, they like to play it up just a little bit. Very dramatic. It goes well in La La Land.
Absolutely, yeah. So going very hard at Luka Doncic. Wayne Spooney had a great tweet. I believe he anointed him. Luka, clearly not 100% Doncic, but seems to be a great nickname flying around for Luka. But I mentioned Austin Reeves.
Despite the loss, man.
34,
8 points, despite the loss.
Yeah, he brought the fight. brought the fight, Luka Doncic, absolutely. But also Austin Reeves as well. Like we'll get to like in detail Al Horford, Jake, but like Austin Reeves like getting the switch onto whenever Al would set a ball screen and they were just switching everything for the most part. The Lakers, Austin Reeves would get onto Al, and then Al just like dragged him down to his sex dungeon and did terrible things to him.
Covered him in Horford juice.
Absolutely. Showered him, which is, obviously a privilege you and I would love to experience at some point in our lives. But absolutely just decimated Austin Reeves. And the post seal from Al Horford is like not something that we see very often, but I think a really solid indication of the Celtics like intentionality and purposefulness in like a specific game plan against the Lakers and executing it perfectly. And obviously the easy one to call out is just going at Luka, but Al just like immediately sealing Reeves under the cup for easy buckets all night. And again, we'll get to the Al defense in a little bit, but just absurd from the old fella.
It definitely had a playoff feel to it in that it was very clear that both teams had game plans. And I think that JJ Redick, to his credit, man, like he's done an incredible job with the Lakers. Like it's been confounding to me to see their defense be so good, statistically at least in defensive rating. Mm-hmm. And a lot of that is because they've played some of that I should say is probably attributed to them playing some bottom 10 offenses. But like coming into tonight, the Lakers were 20-4, best defense in the league. And that was kind of like without AD and Luka for a good chunk of those games. Like Luka's only played like 6 or 7 games for the Lakers, and so the Lakers have been really, really good for a long stretch now. So like now we're going to see, LeBron left with the groin, looking 100%, no Rui, no Jackson Davis.
It's everywhere already.
Hayes. Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to see that stuff, but do not let that distract you from the fact that after the Knicks game, and in the last 3 weeks, it's been just a Lakers just jerk off session. It's a circle jerk in Lyle. And like, to be fair, kind of deserved. Like they kind of injected an absurd amount of intrigue into this NBA season, and they've been really, really good. So and they're the 2 seed in the West. So this isn't like last year where they were like fringe play in and they were still like leading all these shows. They deserved to be talked about. Obviously, it goes a little bit too far when it's LeBron and Luka and LA. But this was a big game, and it felt like both teams had playoff intentions. Both the way that the Lakers are defending the Jays, the way that Missoula played his guys, huge minutes tonight. Tatum 45, Jaylen 41, Horford 37. I mean, Tatum 45 and a half, by the way.
Yeah.
They emptied. They played a playoff rotation. Obviously, no Kristaps Porzingis tonight, but that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, emptied the clip, I think is maybe what you were halfway through saying. And both Jays played the full first quarter as well, which I love it. We've got this Celtic City documentary sort of playing out, in society at the moment, and like Joe did not undershoot the importance of this matchup at this juncture of the season with all the pro Lakers sort of narratives coming into this game, and like per cleaning the glass. Last 2 weeks, I love to evaluate teams based on that metric.
Last 2 weeks.
Last 2 weeks, number 2 ranked defense overall for the Lakers. And yeah, you mentioned like they've had some maybe some easy matchups in that sense, but that's nothing to shake a stick at. So for the Celtics to come out and attack that number 2 defense like pretty decisively and with such intentionality, pretty great. Speaking of defense, I think we should get to the Celtics defense as well, because this was
That's
incredible.
The story of the game. That's the story of the game to me.
Yeah, so defensively, Jake, what stood out to you for the Celtics?
Man, and so this is the thing about the Celtics that I think is underrated by everyone. Even myself, sometimes I forget about it. And like, it's kind of easy to forget about because they don't show you this very often. And they shouldn't. They just shouldn't. They should not show you this very often in the regular season. There's no point. And like, to emotionally protect myself coming into tonight, I was like, I like to say these games don't matter, regular season, et cetera, but this is what it's all about, man. Lakers, Celtics, 2 of the best teams in the league. Like, this is like, if you don't get up for these games, like, what's the point of playing sports or caring about sports, right? I understand it's regular season, and the win or the loss in this matchup doesn't necessarily have an impact on who wins the title, which I would have been telling myself if we would have lost this game, obviously. But to see them ratchet the defense up like this is a clear indicator, obviously, that they gave a shit. The minutes, but the defense, and the defense of two people in particular, Jaylen Brown and Al Horford. Like, Jaylen Brown, it's almost frustrating in a way because it's like, where has this been for
there it
the
is.
whole season? And like, because Horford, I don't want to see this very often, but holy shit, the fact that he can still do this is so absurd. Like, LeBron and Luka have been tearing through everybody. I mean, like, Luka's been up and down, but like, they've been tearing through people, and for Horford to still be able to do this, and for Jaylen to show us that, it makes me feel really, really good about the playoffs, because no matter what happens with the three-point shot, this gives them such a high floor in every single game that they play in the playoffs. This defense, this versatility, the way they were impacting the ball. I felt like every time, every shot the Lakers took, especially, oh my God, that third quarter. Some of the best defense I've seen them play, or anyone play all season long.
Yeah, I think the third quarter deserves its own segment because it was so incredible. But like, Jaylen Brown, super up for this game. And I think I was surprised at how similar it looked to the finals. Like, just how
Yes.
maybe even more glaring. Like, there's so many times where he like picked Luka's pocket, or he tapped the ball out, like when he was trying to post him up, or he was just breathing down his neck the whole time. And it looked like Luka was even more affected by Jaylen Brown's one-on-one defense than he potentially was in the finals, which is great to see. Obviously, you want that sort of upward momentum trajectory heading into the postseason. Not that we'll essentially or necessarily see the Lakers, but it's good to see that it's still there, like you said. Picking him up like half court or even full court at times. JB switching on to basically anybody, and he's just got the athleticism and the size and clearly the strength, muscularity, the vascularity, the list goes on to defend basically everybody. But then, man, you said it, Al Horford, like,
come on,
maybe winning the old man battle in this game, Jake,
yeah,
against the
let's
40-year-old.
go.
Like, I was like cheering and like shedding tears for Al Horford's success in this game, because he switched on to LeBron, he switched on to Luka, he switched on to Austin Reeves, defending in the paint, protecting the rim, but more importantly, out on the perimeter, staying with guys and sticking with them as they drove to the rim and like forcing misses, blocking shots, grabbing the boards. Although I will say the Celtics had a lot of difficulty grabbing rebounds in the first half, but they tightened it up in the second half. But Al Horford just being the best version of himself, 37 minutes and 19 seconds in this one, and like a busy 37 minutes at that. Like, please just like get in the chamber until April.
Get back in there, baby.
Yeah,
back
stuff him in there. Stuff him in and zip it up.
Stuff me in him and then zip me up, please. Because oh man, what a special human being that we have been blessed with as Boston Celtics fans. And as soon as this game ended, like I was, my family's visiting, and I did a hike today with my dad and mom and wife, and me and my dad, we wore the exact same Celtics shirt, unplanned, and we thought that was
a good sign.
Thought that was a good omen, and we're about to go out of service, and I'm like, we just got the injury update, no KP, Jrue Holiday. We'll watch the game once we get home. And so as soon as the game ended, I went straight to the First to Floor Discord, because, I know that's where the good stuff is. And if you're not in there, the link's in the description. And we were just going back and forth, and Horford's obviously some of the first words out of my fingertips. And Steven from the Discord was like, there's nothing left to say. And it's like, how many times can we have this conversation, and how many times can we feel this? But it's like, every time we feel this way, you have to talk about it, because he shouldn't be allowed to do this anymore. 38 years old. 38 years young, I guess, is what he actually is.
I suppose.
Dude, like, we do not, like, no one deserves this man. We're so lucky to have him on our basketball team, dude. Like, and I don't know if it's worth having the Kristaps conversation, today, but like, he's our fucking guy. Al Horford is the guy. Like, you just need Kristaps to play 12 minutes a night, it feels like. So just Al Horford only has to play, or maybe 15 minutes a night. Horford only has to play whatever 48 minus 15 is. Can't do that number, maths in my head right now. But like, he gives you so much versatility defensively. It's like, do I want anyone else out there with my playoff life on the line than Al Horford?
Yeah,
No.
Yeah, well, exactly. So you've just answered my question. Like the short version of the conversation is like, if you had to choose one of them, Horford or KP, to like be healthy through the playoffs, like it's clearly Horford, which is fucking crazy. Because like KP, the unicorn, amazing rim help, rim defense all year, money from three all year, and yet like it's Al Horford in the big games, Mr. Reliable. He'll switch on to literally anybody in the league, it seems. And like even like the Darius Garlands of the world, the quick twitchy guards, he's switching onto those guys and holding up at the ripe old age of almost 40 and almost 7 foot tall. It's fucking crazy. It's definitely Horford. Like all respect to KP, who's been great. And I hope that the silver lining of this situation is that like KP comes out like rested and healthy once he's free or whatever fucking Latvian plague is like getting him down at the moment. But that's a story for another day. It's Al Horford all day. This era of Celtics basketball is like kind of over, I think, when Horford's gone, because he's just so important. He's the fulcrum of so much of what makes us successful. And JT just had so many awesome things to say about. I don't know if you caught the post-game presses after the game. He was like, I'm the biggest Al Horford fan in the world. Yeah. And then Grady's tweeting out like, get in line, buddy, which I thought was great.
Yeah, dude. I guess Tatum technically gets to be first in line there, but I loved hearing that. He's like my favorite. He said it a million times. He's my favorite teammate ever. We would not basically, like I'm paraphrasing, we would not be the Celtics. We would not be this team without Al Horford. And it's so true. And we talked about it with, with Greeny, I think it was. It was like, this is his 7th season with the Celtics. I mean, he played 9 with the Hawks. Why would he not get to 1 million seasons? Is he going to outlast? He outlasted Embiid. He's going to outlast Tatum, Jaylen, Pritchard, Jordan Walsh at this point. Like, I don't understand. I'm so grateful. I'm just truly grateful because this player, this archetype doesn't really exist. Like a guy that can stretch the floor and shoot threes, can give you a little post, mismatch hunting, can to defend in space on like every type of player 1 through 5, protect the rim when he ramps it up. It's like those players, and then also be a really good connective, accurate passer on top of all of that. Those players don't exist in the NBA. It's like Wemby, Chet, and like even them like switching on the perimeter. And obviously Horford's not giving you like a 40 bomb in the way that Wemby is, but like ticking those boxes in a playoff setting doesn't exist. And the fact that we have him for $9.5 million, I think he has the best contract in the NBA. Like it just is.
And being like truly unexploitable in the playoffs is such a valuable skill set. And like we'll get to Pritchard in a little bit. I thought we saw a little bit of an insight as to what it might look like for Peyton Pritchard in the playoffs, where he was getting sort of brought into every Lakers action, especially in the first half. Second half, we kind of scrammed him out of danger there. That's basically the take on Pritchard's night. So maybe we just touched on it. But Al Horford like can't be exploited except by maybe a very narrow scope of like player archetypes in the league. So that's really good to see, and clearly, I guess, makes him a cut above guys like KP who can be exploited, who can be brought out to the perimeter and get caught backpedaling a little bit and unable to recover. And typical big man defensive issues when brought out onto the perimeter that Al Horford apparently, even at fucking 40 years old, does not suffer from, which is insane. It'll never not be amazing, and we'll always highlight it at every opportunity on this show. That said, do not put any sneakers on Al Horford until Wednesday night, I believe is when they play at OKC. That's it. Don't even get out of bed. I
better see some big toe sprain on the injury report.
Yes, absolutely.
When I wake up tomorrow, the other thing on Al Horford, one of the like best moments of the game, like him and Jaylen are playing like D up on Luka. Jaylen gets a steal, finds Horford on the fast break, dunk, just kicks Luka in the face.
Oh, so good,
so good. Just boom! Like it was awesome. Timeout Lakers, and that actually was like quite a momentum play. Like they needed to kind of find their footing early there, and the fact that it came in the form of an Al Horford nut shot to Luka Doncic's face was very, very appealing to me.
The fact that Al was playing that level of defense, but then also just like sprinting the floor as well and like getting up for transition dunks.
While Luka doesn't get back, while Luka's like half getting back.
Yeah, tells the whole story, basically. We'll continue to celebrate the Celtics defense. Like you said, that's definitely the story, the takeaway from this one. And I think we're all very relieved to see it. You guys have said early in the season, because we've been seeing smaller glimpses of like what makes the Celtics so good. We've been seeing smaller glimpses of that all year. And you know it when you see it. And defensively, we saw it tonight. Jayson Tatum, like, it's maybe less of an acute defensive highlight game for him. You know, it doesn't have the highlight plays that Horford and certainly JB had, but he was still like fucking everywhere in this game. And I think that the help defense in particular, most notably that like a late help block on Luka, where Al kind of got in trouble there defending Luka. Luka kind of got a shoulder past him and got into an advantageous position. Tatum just recognizes it, comes over with the help late and just fucking blocks the shit out of him, man. And that was kind of the story defensively for Tatum all night. Again, he's someone who could switch on to everyone. He can shut down absolutely anyone. If the best defender of Luka Doncic in the league is Jaylen Brown, maybe the second best defender is Jayson Tatum.
Yeah, like I would like to see it a little bit more. Not because I want to see them actually do it, but more just because I just want to see how Tatum goes defending Luka in one-on-one. But clearly, as we've talked about many times, like Jaylen's best, role on defense is on ball. He can't get lost off ball. Jayson is so good off the ball in help, and he's a much better rebounder as well. So like having Tatum off the ball actually makes a lot more sense. Mm-hmm. So like I love the way that they utilize this. I thought it was coming to the game, you knew it was going to be the Dallas defensive game plan, and like it changed a little bit with Jackson Hayes being out and like them not really going to a big man in this game. But like obviously the Jackson Hayes is not really changing the lineup. It's going to be Tatum on Luka. You're going to put Tatum on the big man, but I think Tatum's primary assignment was LeBron, but they were just switching everything. So obviously that bounced around a lot. But yeah, Tatum was it's a complete game. It's like he ended up at a 60% true shooting, 60.5, I think, thanks to a few free throws at the end of the game to get the efficiency up. But like 12 for 28, not awesome, but 6 for 16 from 3. And in a game where you like needed some 3-point volume, he gave you a 37.5% from 3. And like a lot of them were a little bit long. But yeah, he cleaned the defensive glass for you. 12 defensive rebounds. Horford obviously second on the team with 9. Just I mean, dare I say it, Ben, a captain's knock from Jayson
Absolutely.
Tatum.
Do we have the image? I don't think we've got the image. It's only it's a late night exclusive.
No, we got it.
Hell yes. There we go. Classic vintage captain's knock. Beautiful. Is that a cover drive? No, that's a pull shot. We'll call it a sweep. Maybe foreshadowing for the playoffs coming up here. But love a vintage captain's knock from Jayson Tatum, and just so good at identifying in a split second the defensive vulnerability that is apparent to him and exploiting it immediately. And very, like, I've said this before, but like kind of very late Celtics career Paul Pierce, where he was a little slowed down, but his ability to read the game was like so switched on at that point in Paul Pierce's career. He was getting like triple doubles all of that season when Rajon Rondo was out with the torn ACL, and he kind of took over as the floor general. But Tatum's doing this with like the added height and dimensions and athleticism at like 26 now, 27 years old. It's like clearly a cut above. It's amazing to see. We love it. Let's get back in a sec. We'll talk about Jrue Holiday, who was back with the mallet finger. We'll talk a little bit more about Peyton Pritchard and that third quarter we've got to get to as well. But first, a quick word from our friends over at PrizePicks. Jake.
So it is PrizePicks time, and I need to open it up here. But yes, so playoffs are coming. We got teams battling for seeding. We got teams battling for tanking position. We got Peyton Pritchard dropping 40, but it is March. And we all know that Peyton Pritchard is March. So last season, from March 9th, which if you're listening to this, it's probably March 9th, Pritchard averaged 14.6 points per game on a season average of 9.6. So his scoring average went up 5 points per game last March. And obviously he's scoring a lot more per game this season. So that's where I'm going in March and April, is Peyton Pritchard more points, and all of the kind of the fringy rotation guys. I think if you can find some value there, that's where I'm going to be heading. Download the app today. Use code CLNS and get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
Shout out PrizePicks. Shout out the CLNS Media Network for presenting the First to the Floor YouTube show, audio podcast. Shout out to the chat, Rivens in the chat, who's been grilling me for my brief but anti-Peyton Pritchard comments. Is going to love you backing PP in the PP PrizePicks read. There he is. Shout out Rivens. Shout out everyone in the chat while you're here.
Shout out you, everybody.
If you appreciate the show, hit that like button. Subscribe to the audio pod as well. We push the YouTube show very hard. Audio has been humming along nicely for over 7 years now, but we can always use a bit of a bump in the Apple Store and Apple Podcasts, rather, and Spotify algorithm there. So go subscribe on the podcast feed if you haven't already. Jrue Holiday back in this one. Mr. Mallet Finger himself. I thought we talked about like seeing the glimpses from the Celtics, what like the best aspects of the Celtics. I thought we saw some of the glimpses from Jrue in this one, Jake.
Great to see him back, man. I was kind of mentally prepared for a 2-week absence. The way that
Sure.
It was honestly just hard to get a grasp of how bad the injury was. And in hindsight, the way that they had him on the injury report, the way everybody was acting, the way Jrue kind of was talking about it, in hindsight, I never needed to be worried. And obviously the fact that he's back today is why I should not have been worried. I thought early it was a bit like, oh, CTE Jrue vibes.
Sure.
But I thought solid, great, like solid game. After missing like 4 games, adjusting to whatever is happening with the finger. I think the story is the 4 offensive rebounds for him.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, late as well.
Yeah, his value goes beyond. I mean, obviously we want the 50%, 60%, just like knockdown 3-point shooting from Jrue Holiday. That was like so reliable and so comforting. Anytime you saw him wide open, and he was 1 for 3 from 3. He had one in the corner that was like just a classic Jrue corner 3 shot from last season, and it was just a little bit short, but right on line. And I was like, I like it. He took it kind of like, when they're in like the baseline and it feels like you're a little bit behind the backboard, but it kind of feels good to shoot from back there.
Yeah.
I thought it was going in, but 35 minutes, 3 for 6 from the field, 5 rebounds. Defensively, just great to have him out there, man. No hot takes or incredible analysis here. He's just very, very good. He makes a lot of plays. He's very physical. He's just very, very good. And I think that now that he's back, I just want to get him rolling a little bit. I would love to get KP rolling a little bit, but I'm sure we'll talk about him later in the week. But great signs to see Jrue Holiday back in the lineup, because I was getting like, we were talking about, is this going to be 6 weeks, 8 weeks? Are we going to see him in the second round? The fact that he's back and was impactful, +9 today, is just great news.
Yeah, I believe it's his pinky that is suffering from mallet finger, and with that seemingly came a new celebration as well. That the Dr. Evil, like instead of doing this thing, he's now doing the pinky to the mouth, which is
Did he do that
whatever.
today?
Yeah, and he had
I
like
missed that.
his family in the crowd. That was like the Celtics social media page like took a photo of his like a row of his family, and they were all doing the same celebration as well. So clearly very carefully coordinated there by the Holidays. Shout out to the Holiday family. But good to see Jrue back. And you're right, like nothing that stand out, nothing amazing, but just like Jrue being like the best version of himself, and like as a guard being able to switch on to the LeBrons of the world, albeit the 40-year-old LeBrons, and like holding up solidly defensively. And yeah, like those 3-point misses, like 1 for 3, like you said, like they weren't bad misses. One of them rimmed out. They were both pretty good looks. So it didn't look like he was too hindered by the mallet finger there. So definitely keeping a close eye on that, because he's so important as we get into the playoffs. But with the small sample size we have, like looks pretty fucking good. So that third quarter, Jake, I feel like we need to get to, I believe 29-13, which like doesn't even tell the full story. Like for so long, Luka was the only Laker who had scored in that quarter, and they'd only scored 5 points, like well and truly into that quarter's duration. And I talked about it earlier, but to me, the closest comparison is how the Celtics came out second half, game 3 of the finals last year, like just 100% on both sides of the ball. Defensively, completely locked in, just completely tied, a noose around the Lakers' offense. And then offensively themselves, I thought like they kind of almost looked slow. But again, to use those words again, it was just how purposeful and like organized and structured their offense was. Like maybe Tatum would just like hold the ball up top, no dribbles for 12 seconds, but the result would be Al Horford just like carefully yet like quickly sealing Austin Reeves and just like getting like the the bestest of looks, the easiest of looks right under the bucket. And it was just like that possession after possession after possession. It was just the most organized dominance I've seen from the Celtics all year, I think.
It was awesome. I don't know how I missed this comment from Brookie G in the chat. As a Queenslander, I'm starting to think Cyclone Alfred was named after Big Al. So sorry for missing that. And shout out everybody in the chat, as Ben said. We appreciate you guys. It's good to have a late night. But this third quarter, like there was a... Did it actually hold up for the entire quarter? So made field goals 5, turnovers 6 for the Lakers in the third quarter. And
amazing.
In the first half, it really felt like the Celtics should be up. It was like, I can see the advantages on both ends. I can see what both teams are trying to do. And what the Celtics and Lakers are trying to do is going to favor the Celtics over a game, over a series. But like, it was some offensive rebounds, or it was like a transition bucket or a loose ball that led to the Lakers kind of having that lead. And to see them come out like they did in that third quarter, you see a third quarter like that, you always go back and you think about the Golden State Warriors and a team that really can go in, look at what happened in the first half, and a team that's better can come out and lay the smack down. As New Zealand correspondent Joe Titty has coined, won and lost in the third, and you come out and you win the third quarter 29. Impressive. You hold them to 13 points. 13 points in the third quarter, and it was a collective effort. Tatum played the entire third quarter. Horford played the entire third quarter.
That's wild.
Like it was like they shot 52.6% from the field, despite only going 2 for 9 from 3. So like they left some stuff on the table. Honestly, they left some stuff on the table from the free throw line all game, but they were 7 for 10 here. Yeah, they ended up 8 for 25, 72%. Luke Cornett 0 for 2, buddy. What are you doing to me? But that third quarter, I think that defensive performance, like that is hanging in the Louvre.
Yeah, dude.
But at the same time, let's not see that too many more times before the playoff starts.
Yeah, a little heavy on the minutes there, but look, Derek White was a lot better in the second half and the third quarter in particular as well. It just seemed to sort of loosen up a little bit there. I was a bit worried in the first half that the Lakers' game plan, I don't know if there's anything to this, but like the game plan was just like, we're just going to stop everyone else and like let the Jays do their thing, and that kind of looked more prominent from a game plan perspective in the first half. And I thought second half, guys like Peyton Pritchard and certainly Derek White kind of loosened up a little bit, which definitely helped in that third quarter dominance. But I don't know, what else stands out to you in this one, Jake? I feel like we've covered like the core elements of the defeat here for the Lakers at the hands of the Celtics, but what else stood out to you?
Well, I feel like we should probably talk a little more Jaylen, maybe a little more Jayson. I mean, we'll be here all night, you know. This is one of those ones you can really just hang out and chat about. But I thought this is like easily Jaylen's best game of the season. Like efficiency wise, like pretty good, 31 points on 25 shots. He missed 2 of his free throws as well. He got shortchanged a couple of free throws, I thought also, but defensively it's not a contest. This was obviously the best defensive game of his season. And I saw Z Gamer in the chat mention it earlier, but like it gives you confidence for this team's defense this season, gives you confidence going forward. If you maybe have to lose Jrue Holiday, to have someone like Jaylen that can take the point of attack assignment. And just like, was that a flash in the pan last season to see Jaylen have like an outlier defensive season? Or is it just like, he's just in cruise control? And it appears that he is in cruise control, but he was very, very, like when the Lakers cut this fucking thing to 4. And I was having flashbacks of the Cleveland game. Like I thought Tatum kind of gassed out in like the late third, fourth, because like he's not used to playing these types of minutes. And it's good to get these guys now some practice going into the high 40s as you get closer to the playoffs. I thought Tatum kind of gassed out a little bit, and Tatum was 1 for 6 in the fourth, but Jaylen was 4 for 7 and like big buckets. Like, he had that pull-up 3 right in Luka's face that like pushed the lead back out to 9. Yeah, that's right. 4-point game. Celtics have the ball, 4 minutes, 17 seconds. And who's he got? Luka Doncic. Dots it, pulls it up, And this is what was interesting. And like Jaylen was the head of the snake when it came to the parallels between the Maverick series and this series. Like you had the steal and the dunk from like in the exact same place, in the exact same angle. He dunked it the exact same way as well, which was really interesting. Obviously, he had him looking the same way. You had LeBron looking and like a shell of himself, kind of like Kyrie. You kind of had the Celtics blowing a big lead and then kind of making it comfortable in the end, which was similar to the Maverick series. But then game 3 of the finals, who hit the biggest jump shot of the game? The lead, I'm pretty sure it got cut to 4. And Jaylen Brown's like pump fake, pulls up, knocks it down. Today, lead gets cut to 4. Jaylen Brown, who has not been able to shoot above the break threes all season long, just like money pushes the lead back out to 3 possession game, and you were kind of home from there. Like, it was 4 for 7 from the field in the fourth quarter, all big buckets.
Yeah, clutch and just like legitimately angry at Luka Doncic all game, especially after like earlier in the game, Jaylen like didn't get a foul call. I think it was Gabe Vincent who like just draped his arms all over JB on an early layup attempt, and then a couple more possessions down, like all up until Jaylen got the ball next, he was like begging for the ball, and you could tell he was like completely enraged by what happened and the no call, and then of course goes up, gets fouled by Luka Doncic's face, gets called for an offensive foul, gets overturned, but he was just like so angry at Luka and the Lakers like from that point onwards. And it kind of fully came to fruition at the end of the game where he just kind of got the ball and took over there. Like you said, I think JT's legs kind of got the worst of him there and got tired out. But JB, elite athlete, like has almost drowned himself with weights under a pool, submerged under deep water to get to this point where he's conditioned enough to see these games through. And his 3-point shot, like sneakily like coming back as the season concludes here, Jake, 3 of 6 tonight, just like hyper efficient overall. How did you feel about that fourth quarter? Because we've had a few of these lately, and maybe it's just winning the title last year, but even as it happened against the Cavs, like I'm not like as terrified, and it's not as like life-alteringly traumatic anymore. And today, as it was happening last night, for the American folks listening, like I was just quietly confident that we would just do something like exactly what we did to end up winning this one. So how'd you feel as that was unfolding?
I was yelling. I'll be honest. I was yelling.
Sure.
I was yelling. I just really wanted to fucking beat the Lakers. And like in the moment, it was like dwindling, and it was dwindling. But in the back of my mind, I'm like, man, typically, because the Cavs game is an outlier, it typically will shrink to a 4 or a 6 or a 7-point lead, and then it pushes back out to double digits. And that is kind of the nature of the NBA today. Like Luka just started hitting a bunch of threes. He banked in a 3. It was so off. It was so off. And that
had a little chuckle with Jaylen as well afterwards.
I did not like that. I did not like that moment. Did not like that. Great stat from Z Gamer here. JB up to 35% from 3 over his last 12 games, which...
There you go.
If I could just lock 35% from 3 in for the rest of the season / playoffs...
You're not taking the mystery box?
35. For Jaylen? Oh, please, Lord.
Those are winning numbers. Yeah.
He's clutch, man. He's clutch. And I love having Jaylen and Jayson on my team.
The Jays, 71 points, man. 71 combined.
And it should have been, it should have been another win with Cleveland as well. We should be 3-0 against Cleveland, Denver, and LA right now, but it is what it is. But I thought Jaylen, like, he kind of showed why he was finals MVP tonight, I thought. I was like, this is, and he hasn't for a lot of this season. It's really been a Tatum carry job a lot of this season. Not, obviously, a lot of these guys have been great, and Jaylen's still been good in a variety of ways, but he has not lived up to the standard that he set for himself in last year's playoffs. And Tonight was a reminder.
Yeah, so good to see it. You love to see it. Miscellaneous points. There's a few here. Obviously, the big one, LeBron James, groin injury. He left the game late. We've still got 6 weeks till the playoffs now. So I was scrolling through Lakers Reddit, which we'll get to in the Schadenfreude report soon. But their sort of positive spin, copium, if you will, is that it's like a sneaky good thing for 40-year-old LeBron James to like sort of regather himself physically otherwise ahead of the playoffs. I don't know how you feel about then things being kind of left to a clearly hobbled, not always 100% Luka Doncic with like his lower back issues or whatever that means. And they've got a tough schedule coming up as well. So that's definitely an important takeaway from this one. But I think the game was pretty well won by the Celtics at that point when LeBron did go out. Anything on that before we move on to a few other missed points?
I'll spin it back to the Celtics because I want the Lakers to get into the 4-5 seed. I thought that was kind of done considering how good they looked. But if he's going to miss a week or two and Luka's got this back thing that is allegedly a thing,
Perpetual.
then they're probably going to slide a little bit. And I would love for them to match up with the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second round because I think that they can push the Thunder in a way. And so because I'm locked in on the Thunder probably making the finals. They're just too good. But any extra miles anyone could put on them is good. And so if they get the Lakers instead of what's currently projected to be the Grizzlies or the Rockets, who they're going to fucking destroy, either of those teams.
Sure.
If they can get the Lakers in round 2, the Lakers are getting 2 games for sure.
Yeah.
So there's no way to spin this. Sure. Did Spoonie spin mallet finger positively? Yeah, and that's what we do out here. But soft tissue groin injury is not the same as a pinky injury.
Sure.
And there's also a very stark difference to Jrue Holiday getting injured and Jayson Tatum or Jaylen Brown getting a groin injury. So I promise you do not want your best players getting soft tissue injuries in March.
Both of them, yeah, at the same time. Pretty terrifying for the Lakers, but lots of copium being huffed and inhaled on the Lakers sub, which again we'll get into shortly. Al Horford almost hit a half-court shot to end the third quarter. Jake, did you see that? Imagine if that went down. I was still made me feel amazing the fact that he almost got it, but
it felt like he got like half a point out of it.
Yeah.
That's what. Because it was so, I'm like, look at it. You just kind of knew that we were going to win when he did that. It's like, yeah, Al Horford will save us. We're fine.
Brilliant, man. Sam Hauser, weird game, 12 minutes almost, rounding up, 11 minutes, 30 seconds to be exact. One field goal attempt, but on one possession, he did lure LeBron James, maybe the second best player of all time, into the house trap, which I thought was just a great moment for Sammy. Like if you could somehow frame like an NFT on your wall in the Hauser mansion there, it's got to be you like locking up LeBron James in a Laker jersey, surely. Great moment for Sammy Buckets.
Sammy Buckets almost had a Tony Snell. 11 minutes, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 steals, 0 blocks, had a foul. But I think to have a Tony Snell, you can't have any field goal attempts.
Yeah,
and Sammy did miss, sadly, a wide open transition 3, which I thought was going to go in for sure.
Yeah.
But he did
which
not.
Would have exploded the arena.
Yeah. But in his 10 minutes, oh man, if he hit that shot, it was popping because they were in the middle of a little run there. But yeah, he defensively was fine. But yeah, didn't get a ton from either Hauser or Pritchard scoring wise, but they held up defensively, which is all you can really ask for. Yeah.
We have run through sort of organically most of my other miscellaneous points, including but not limited to the Jaylen Brown offensive foul that was overturned and the ensuing technical foul that got called on JB as well. Is Nico Harrison back? We talked about that. The other very, very real thing, the JJ Redick curse is a known entity in Celtics world. Derek White had a bad game. JJ Redick is literally standing on the fucking sidelines, Jake. I mean, the curse is literally there, like in like his back pocket, essentially in this one. So I thought, I don't know, maybe a little superstitious, but was that a factor?
Man, I will say Derek had a 3 in the fourth quarter that was like tough, but I was like, my whole body expected it to go in because it was like lead dwindling, things were getting tight, and Derek White missed a 3. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We're in trouble. Thankfully, it did, but like, it didn't go full Derek White curse because I thought he may have made one of the biggest plays of the game. Like he had offensive rebound. They were up. What were they up 6? I think, and we missed a shot. Offensive rebound, stayed in bounds, tiptoed, and then it led to a wide open Tatum catch and shoot 3, which he nailed, which pushed the lead back out to 9 with like 2 minutes 40 to go, which was essentially the dagger. So we didn't go full because Derek White was like the confidence fell out of his pants earlier in the season, and I didn't feel like that happened tonight. Still had 5 boards, 7 assists, a steal, and a block.
Yeah.
But that's a good point. Just the good news is we won't see Jay Redick unless we get to the finals, and if we are in the finals against the Lakers, I'll take the Derek White curse. Yeah, we can handle that in the finals.
I guess final other point, this is really for Rivens in the chat, but Peyton Pritchard took an incredible charge on the baseline against Jared Vanderbilt in this one.
Look,
So
Pritchard defensively was so impressive to me. Did he get targeted? Yes. But the fact that he held up as well as he did,
yes, that's
it makes
fair.
me so annoyed that people like Trae Young and Halliburton are as bad defensively as they are. Because Pritchard has worked so fucking hard to get stronger and heavier to handle that type of stuff, to make sure that he's capable of being on the court in more moments. And it's like, that's within your control. And so because Luka and LeBron usually take people that are the size of Peyton Pritchard and put them inside the basket. And he held up really, really fucking well. LeBron hit a ridiculous shot over him, which, it was a fringe foul, but Pritchard was kind of taking the fight to LeBron and Luka, so he was kind of getting away with some stuff. And despite him going 1 for 5 from 3, 1 from 5 from the field, 1 for 4 from 3, I thought he was still quite impactful. He was trying to get offensive rebounds. It felt like the Lakers were really prepared for his crashing. Like every time he went in there, guys were on it.
Yeah, he looked like he was like the hard dude in a mosh pit at a couple of times, just like maybe like the 12-year-old who goes to big day out or something like that. Like where is this kid's parents? But yeah, defensively, absolutely like a thicker, girthier PP. And if you want the same results, I believe you can talk to your doctor about that. But you love to see it. Before we wrap this one up, we're going to end the show with everybody's favorite segment. That is, of course, the Schadenfreude report.
I cannot believe.
That's right. It's a Schadenfreude report, everybody's favorite segment here on the First of the Floor podcast. And just jumping around the Lakers subreddit after this one, I don't know what your like order of operations are. And yes, Aussie Phil, we will get to the Sixers, I promise you. Jake, I don't know what your like post-game order of operations is, but for me, like after I've consumed all of the Celtics news and then all of the neutral news, I'll typically jump into like the opposing fans' Twitter or Reddit page and like try and get it all from that perspective as well. First thing I saw when I jumped onto Lakers Reddit is, of course, this image as well, captioned "Pain," and I believe it is a fictional Magic Johnson crying in the showers there. You just hope when you jump onto an opposing team's Reddit, that's like exactly what you're going to see. Perfect. And when it's the Lakers and versus the Celtics, you love to see it. The other thing is the Lakers schedule. We talked about this. Brutal remaining March schedule, including a stretch of 6 games in 8 nights where you've got a 40-year-old LeBron James and a hobbled Luka Doncic as well, both with these soft tissue injuries. Like, we don't celebrate injuries on the show at all, and nobody should, but like that is a brutal stretch here. And like they've got in the very near future Bucks, Nuggets. I know the Suns are like not who they should be, but Nuggets again, Bucks again. Pacers are playing really well. The Grizzlies, the Rockets, like they've got some tough teams coming up and a really packed, condensed schedule as well. Hate to see it, Jake.
You do hate to see it. You do hate to see it. Yeah, man. It's tough out here. Hey, man, trying to win a title, it's hard. You can't. Being good for 25 games, I've seen a lot of teams be good for 25 games. Let's see what happens here.
Now, moving on, Lakers fans angry in the Lakers Reddit comment here in the post-game thread. Luka just doesn't look good, man. Ignoring the stats and all he can he can't get past anyone. And then just like divisiveness, classic divisiveness in the Lakers fans, just going at each other about whether or not Luka Doncic is actually decent. Which again, you hate to see. Terrible to see Lakers fans going at each other like this, Jake, as a result of being pantsed by the Celtics.
It's not like super surprising that he's got an injury or quote unquote an injury. Like this is, there was a reason why he was traded. It was not necessarily good reasoning. It was not necessarily a good return for the asset that you were concerned about, but I understood the concerns. We've seen it, and he's been injured a lot in the past couple of seasons now. And yeah, man, it's going to be more difficult than it has felt for Lakers fans over the past 25 games, because they have been just drowning. And it's not their fault, because every outlet has just been, force feeding all of us Lakers propaganda, somewhat deservedly. So it's not their fault necessarily for thinking that they now have reignited the next dynasty. But again, being good for 25 games, easy. Being good for 4 playoff rounds when you're relying on a 40-year-old and a dude that has proven to not really be able to last through the playoffs himself, it's tough out there.
Yeah, and I feel like maybe for the first time since the trade, they all got like a really solid look at like how organized teams, well-coached teams, will go at them in the playoffs as well. And just sort of a glaring glance at their, impending reality and doom potentially.
Potentially, but there's only one Boston Celtics is also the thing.
There is a very well put together OKC Thunder as well.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't think they can beat the Thunder. To be clear as well. Yeah. And I think they could get a game or two. But yeah, I would like them to go out in a blaze of glory. And hopefully 7 games against the Thunder. That would be... Actually, no. I do want them to make the finals. That would be the best possible matchup.
Great for the NBA. You got any freestyle Lakers Schadenfreude for us, Jake, before we move on to the Sixers?
JJ Redick was very, very mad.
Yes.
A lot. And in the post game, he was kind of talking about how we would drop the ATOs, we would set up these defensive things, and the players just wouldn't do it. And I was like, your team's worse than our team. There's nothing you can do, bro. Like,
facts.
You need to go out there and be like, my players didn't listen to me. Joe Mazzulla would never do that.
No.
Joe Mazzulla would never. I don't think Mazzulla is yet to publicly call out his team. We've kind of got reports that he called them out at halftime, like the Sixers game comes to mind when they came back from 26 down. But in the press, still yet to do it. And I don't think he will.
Yeah, he did tear Neemias Queta a new asshole against the Sixers in the first half, like on the bench the other night. That was about as public as an undressing as it gets with Mazzulla. But yeah, classy guy in
Glad
general.
He did that.
Now, let's just run this clip for the Sixers, and then I'll get your reaction to it, Jim. So if you're listening to the pod later, this is some members of the Philadelphia 76ers at, I believe it's WWE SmackDown. I'm not a wrestling fan, but that is the event. Anyway, it's hosted in Philly. At some point, the Jumbotron, cuts to Paul George, I think Yabo there. Is it Boner? Boner's there with the boys? Just Boner hanging out with the fellas?
With the boys.
Anyway, the entire Philadelphia crowd, I should say, immediately begin to boo these guys relentlessly and loudly, and it's their immediate, very quick reaction to just detest the Sixers based on what they've given them all season, Jake.
So that clip did not play for me at all for whatever reason, but I have seen the clip, so it's okay. And what were they expecting? Yeah, exactly. I literally had the exact same thought as Z Gamer in the chat here. Like, and you can see the faces of Paul George in particular kind of get excited and realize what's happening and have to kind of put on a face that like he's not realizing what's going on. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. And respect to fucking Philly, man. They deserve to be booed. I cannot believe, and this is the Paul George experience. His self-awareness is non-existent. The podcast, he gets
quit
up
the pod
there
at
with
least.
the comments. It's like the fact that he didn't see this coming just is a perfect encapsulation of who he is as a person and a player. And he finally realized he should stop doing fucking podcasts after the season was well and truly dead, after it was brought to the attention of all of us that he had more clips and uploads than he did field goals made at one point in the regular season. So, yeah, the self-awareness, I wouldn't say super high in the Paul George household.
And it's gotten to the point with Philly where, like, even through the Schadenfreude report, you don't necessarily feel comfortable going in that hard on them, but, like, they do it to themselves, man. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, this clip's different. This clip that's what Schadenfreude's all about.
All right, I think we'll leave it there. We've gone in hard enough on our foes. What's coming up for you this week, Joe? You kicking off the playback room for Celtics blog?
Yeah. I think you just called me Joe, which I would love to be Joe.
Apologies. It must be time for me to go to bed.
I would love to be Joe. Tomorrow I think we'll fire up the playback room for Cavs Bucks tomorrow, which is interesting.
Nice.
And we'll be going for the Cavs. I'm very locked in on. Okay. Glad I'm
sorry about that.
Not the
Shout out
only
Joe.
one that didn't hear that.
Also shout out Jackson, our longtime
yes.
Partner in crime on the
Yes.
podcast. He was at the game tonight in Boston. So shout out
God,
Jackson
dude.
and Joe and Jake, who I'm right now doing the podcast with.
Shout out to you too, man.
And shout out Spoony.
Shout out Spoony. Shout out everybody, really. That's a Celtics fan. Don't shout out the Lakers fans. But yeah, man, dude, like for Jackson, oh my God, like sometimes, you fly across the world and you see one game and you never know what can happen. It could just go real bad. And Jackson got I'm guessing a religious experience tonight. Celtics Lakers, Tatum, Jaylen masterclass against Luka and LeBron. But yeah, tomorrow, Cavs, Bucks, League Pass, kind of bounce around. We'll start with Cavs and Bucks. But yeah, going for the Cavs. We want the Bucks to settle into the 4 seed. I would not like to see the Cavs jump the Knicks into the 2-3 spot. I would much prefer to play the Knicks than the Bucks in round 2. So join the Celtics blog playback room for that one. But yeah, we'll be back, and then for more shows, I think we play the Jazz. I'm guessing we'll be seeing a lot of Peyton Pritchard, hopefully some Jordan Walsh.
Hell yeah.
But then Ben, you're back on Wednesday night for the US folks for the Thunder game, right?
Yeah, I'll be doing old school Ben. I've got the last 2 days of the week off, Thursday, Friday off work. So I'll be instant reactions, Celtics late night, getting it all done. I can't wait to just be able to invest some time back into the pod in that sense. So really looking forward to it. So make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss anything that's coming up on the channel this week. That's going to do it for this one. Like we said, we will be back throughout the week live here on YouTube and in your podcast feed. Another Patreon exclusive midweek as well. Will we finally do the Discord draft and draft our favorite Discord member teams? A little spicy one. If you want to sign up to the Discord, sign up to the Patreon. The links are all in the description below. Don't miss it. Jake Eisenberg, love your work, man. Until next time, go Celts.